August 28th, 2023. It's time to get in the weeds. I am Actual Pearl, and as always, a busy weekend in wrestling. And as always, on a Monday, Jeremy Lambert's with me. On a Wednesday, Jeremy's here too. On a Friday, Jeremy's here too. But let's face it, on a Monday, after a busy weekend of professional wrestling, Jeremy Lambert covering literally everything and doing a wonderful job, by the way. I give you your flowers when I can. But we're here. We're going to talk about everything all in. We're going to talk about SmackDown from Friday. We're going to talk about Emergence. I was there last night. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's plenty to talk about. So, Jeremy, how are you feeling?
I worked about 16 hours yesterday, Joel. You know, that's it. So it's a cool 16-hour day. We got I got a very long weekend coming up this week, too. It doesn't stop. It does not stop. But, you know, it was a fun weekend of wrestling and a lot to talk about. Certainly a lot to talk about, Joel.
You sound very happy to talk about all this stuff.
Do I?
I don't know. You sound excited. It sounds like despite the 16 hours of work that you put in a day, it sounds like there was a lot of good stuff that came from it. Not everything was positive, and I know we're going to talk about some of the most absurd shit that happened, especially yesterday, because it's just an inevitability. But I don't know. It sounds like you mostly enjoyed yourself.
I had a Taco Bell for breakfast, and that's why I'm in a good mood. Look at that. Their sweet tea sucks, by the way. Awful sweet tea, but their breakfast food is very good.
I've never had a Taco Bell breakfast. What the hell do they serve? I assume it's breakfast burritos.
People are going to get mad at us for talking about fast food here, Joel. Oh, no.
Listen, if you don't think that MJF and Adam Cole discuss what breakfast foods are great during their personal time, then I don't know what to tell you, because here, Jeremy and I, we're going to do the same thing.
I got the Bell, like the Bell box. It's basically like a crunch wrap, but it's got eggs, hash brown, bacon, and some type of sauce on there, which is really good. They got these like cinnamon bites, which are good, and they have I had a hash brown. Their hash brown was good. Their breakfast food is good. I don't get Taco Bell breakfast often. This is only literally my second time ever, but I had to run some errands this morning. Yeah, Joel, I'm up early. We get to bed late. Went to bed at about midnight after working 16 hours. Got up at 7 to help the kids, and you got to get rolling. You get cooking. It's another day at the Lambert household.
I was gonna say, you went to bed earlier than I did. Good on you.
Yeah. I know you had a late night at Impact. You could have gone to bed earlier if you weren't a coward and you tripped Steve Macklin and he knocked your lights out. You could have gone to bed probably before 11, but you know, you were cowardly.
I'm going to tell a funny story about that a little later. It's his return was very entertaining, to which I had to text Jeremy Lambert about it because it was a very surreal moment, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. It was a fun night. I got home probably around midnight, and then I had a good 45 minutes of cleaning up to do. I didn't get the stream up until this morning because
I looked for it and I was like, oh, Joel, that slacker.
I know.
I didn't expect it. I was waiting for you to message me and be like, hey, can you set this up? But you didn't. So I was like, all right, well, I assume he's going to take care of it at some point.
I knew I was going to be up early with the kid, and I knew that my wife was going to take him to daycare. So once they were cleared and everyone was gone, I was like work mode, catching up on the rest of All In, that stuff that I didn't get to see. So I was able to get it up, but I was just like, all right, certain things are going to go up a little later than planned.
It's good that you were able to get it up, Joel.
I mean, anyway, there's someone out there has a sponsorship for us for stuff like that. We don't need to talk about them. What else is going on? So yeah, better than talking about slow food. That's what Ryan says. I don't know, man. Slow cooker food is delicious.
Yeah. Slow cooker food can be very delicious. We can talk about best slow cook recipes if we want to. Yeah, that's what the people are here for, right?
I'll tell you right now, my favorite is doing a pulled chicken now. There's those Clubhouse seasonings. This is the dumbest thing, but it's also perfect. The seasonings that you purchase often have like easy cook recipes on the back. This is one of them. And it was like, you know, brown sugar, water, this seasoning packet, and then like a pound of chicken. And I was like, or 2 pounds of chicken. And I was like, all right, let's go. And I put it in the slow cooker, let it go. It was delicious. Little stuff like that is perfect. That's the trick to slow cooker. Just easy peasy.
The wife makes good food in the slow cooker. So there you go. We've had some of that in the past. Today we just went Taco Bell. We were lazy. We were lazy today, but there are some good slow cook recipes out there. You can make some good.
Couldn't do the fast cooker today. We had to do the fast food instead.
Yeah, we need the fast food. It's been a long couple of days here, Joel. Long couple of days. Sometimes you ain't got time to make food. You just gotta grab what you can grab.
That's true. But if you're here and you got time, go leave a thumbs up on the video and also go ahead and subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked. If you've done it, then go ahead and tell your friends to do it too, or just make like 100 YouTube accounts, because that seems to be a good way to do it. And just hit that subscribe button. If you want content every single day, Fightful Overbooked is your place for it. And if you want to give us some financial incentive, you can go ahead and donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question statement read on the air. I do want to point out, this was really for just one person who reached out to me, and thank you, by the way. On Friday, we actually did receive a Humper chat. It was read on the SmackDown post show on the main feed, but I'll let people know now. We normally don't take Humper chats because that revenue goes to the main channel, not directly to us. It's a little more dicey, so we haven't come up with a Streamlabs platform for Overbooked. However, because all of the proceeds from Friday's show was going to the Rotunda family, it was just like, it was very easy. Once that person reached out to me, I was just like, okay, perfect. That's cool, because it's all going to the same spot. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out for anyone whoever's like, I should send a Humper chat. Don't send a Humper chat on our channel.
We need the weed chats. Is that
that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, people think they're like giving us, can I say drug? We're 5 minutes past.
7.5 minutes in. We're okay.
All right. People will think they're giving us drug money if we call them weed chats. I feel like send us weed chats, and the more you send, the more mg of edible I will take on air.
Oh my goodness. And that's how I'm gonna have to deal with that little gold dollar sign that says limited.
Me and Zarian just gonna be popping edibles on this stream one day.
Payback is gonna be one hell of a show for you at this rate. Anyway, where should we start? All In was a good show. It was not, you listen, I know that we can say it was a long show. Adding in the 2-hour pre-show, the 2-hour 0 hour, that to me at least, it felt a little draggy, just because you gotta do 2 matches, but then you gotta fill the rest of the time. That's what was kind of annoying to me. If you had done a 0 hour with just the 2 matches in 1 hour, I would have been okay with that. But overall, like, honestly, I got through All In. I watched it after the fact. I watched I'll tell the story here. I watched the Jack Perry and Hook match live. I watched the whole 0 hour live. I saw the Jack Perry comments live on the air, and I just said to myself, oh, someone's gonna meet him at the curtain. And that's just all I
Okay.
hold on. And then the Punk match went on first on the main card. And the report from Fightful Select came out. We'll talk about all this stuff in a minute. And then the second I saw it in Reddit, I just said, no, not today. And I put my phone down and I said, I'm not watching the rest of the show until later on, when when everything's clear, the discourse is done, and I'm not around any social media. It's just me in the show. So go ahead. You wanted to get in on that.
I hate that this has been the topic. Like, I hate that this has been the topic, and I think it's very unfortunate for AEW. I think it's very unfortunate for the performers of what should have been, and what still was, a historical night, that like this is the thing. One thing I do want to, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, because it's he said, she said, right?
He said in this case.
Yeah. The Punk side is going to say that Punk did nothing wrong, and then the other side is going to say that Punk did everything wrong. It's the same as All Out last year. It's the same as every Punk story that has come out since then. The one thing I do want to touch on, because I think there's a lot of hypocrisy on this, is when Jack Perry, it is all about the he said, she said bullshit. Do you know that, right? You got that right?
Yeah, it's
right?
Olympic. I get it. It's
Okay.
Olympic.
All right. The one thing that I think there's hypocrisy on is one, this popped me tremendously when Jack Perry calls the camera over and he knocks on the glass and it's like real glass, cry me a river. And then he took the suplex. I thought that was hilarious.
Me too.
People are like, well, what did he expect from that? Did he expect Punk to just take that? He knew what he was doing. He was calling out Punk. He was trying to do upstage Punk. He was poking the bear. Saw it, poking the bear. We're talking about the same man who goes out on television, has a live microphone, and says, Hangman Page, come out here and fight me. That's coward shit. I'm the only real draw in the world of counterfeit bucks. Hangman Page is a peg warmer. This is a man who takes his shots all day, every day. On television, not during a match. He's got a microphone when people are listening to him speak, and he's doing this. And then he's going to get upset if Jack Perry does this during a match, which is hilarious, and then Jack Perry goes through the glass in and of itself. I think it's funny when CM Punk takes his little shots. All this shit's funny. It's stupid. It's completely stupid. They're all just trying to do shoots and all this stuff. It does for a television product. At least Jack Perry doing this in the middle of the match. It's a aha, wink and nod type of thing. But he's still having the match with with Hook. When Punk does it, it's like you're trying to sell us on a feud that ain't actually happening. You're trying to sell us on a match that's not happening here. So I don't understand the comments that are like, this is all Jack Perry's fault. He can't be surprised that Punk confronted him and all of this. It's like, maybe not, but let's not act like CM Punk is in the right for confronting him on this. But then but then let's get mad when somebody wants to confront Punk when he does all the stuff that he does. It's all stupid. It's all, I think it's hilarious. Somebody tweeted me when Sean put out the report that there was the scuffle backstage or the altercation or whatever. I just retweeted. I was like, pro wrestling is back, baby. And someone's like, you are great because you just have this detachment from all of this. And like, that's why I enjoy like following you on Twitter. Like, I don't know how true that is. I think I'm very much in the bubble, very much in the weeds compared to most people because of how I cover it. But I do agree that I have a detachment of like, I don't give a shit who's right or wrong on this. I don't. I can understand both sides. I'm not taking sides though. And I think that's what a lot of people get caught up on is like, oh, CM Punk was right. I got to be on his side. Oh, Perry was right. I got to be on his side. Nah, just let him fucking fight. Let him throw hands backstage. Put it on television. Let him fight. Like that's what I'm all about. Let do these shoot comments and then get into a confrontation backstage. I don't care. It affected me in any way. Do I wish you put this stuff on television? Yeah. Until then, thanks for paying some of my bills and giving me stuff to write about.
You know what? I'm just waiting for it. Do you know what the Wrestle Dream show should be? The Wrestle Dream show that Tony Khan announced.
This is the real big story of the fucking week.
We're going to talk about it. It should just be a giant, and I know New Japan talent are on the card, so this doesn't work. It should just be a giant brawl for all card, okay?
Yeah.
The Collision and Dynamite wrestlers and some Rampagians, I guess. Some of the undercard just brawl for alling and let Punk have a bye to like the third round just because it's like, well, he's had 2 fights in the UFC. Sure, he didn't win, but like he's had legitimate fights. So like, let's just give him a couple of buys and then just let Punk get rocked by, I don't know, Brody King be on his side. Let him get rocked by who from
Miro. Miro is
Miro's his pal. You can't do it. Well, come on. You know what I'm trying to say. It just doesn't work so much. You got to find somebody on that. Like, not even Luchasaurus. These are people who all appear on Collision now.
That's the thing. Like, they're stepping to Punk. And, like, if these stories are true, Punk's throwing hands and getting the better of these people on this.
And that's the thing. That's why I didn't, like, toss this on the thumbnail. Because I was like, I saw it and I just, like, laughed. And all I could say was, like, this is going to get more play than it should. This is a hilarious, like, when Jack Perry said it on the broadcast, and someone said it in the comments, like, you didn't know unless you knew. And but that's the thing with AEW fans. Many are so plugged in that they are aware of what's going on. But on a show like this, that was completely harmless. He could easily have just said to people at home, like, oh, you think this is fake? This is real glass because I'm a wrestler and I'm a badass. And the CM Punk stuff would have been completely null and void in people's brains. But instead, here we are. And it's just a funny, like, to me, it's a funny, stupid situation. Jeremy, pointed out pretty accurately. This is stuff that inevitably pays our bills, because Fightful Select, best $5 in the business, does effectively pay our bills with all this news and information, and people want to know, and people want the backstage, gossip. But at the end of the day, that's just, that's just the way it is. That's the news that people want. So I'm not going to put it on the thumbnail. If there had been a definitive story and someone had been, I don't know, taken out in handcuffs or something instead of, everything else that's out there, then I maybe would have brought it up. But instead, it was just like an altercation happened backstage because someone said something that was incredibly funny and topical for us. But other than that, it was just the show was the story, and it was a very good show. So I don't want to take away from that. I didn't walk out of All In being like, that sucked, let's just talk about Punk and Jack Perry because LOL. No, I actually enjoyed the show, so let's actually talk about the show.
Okay, two things. First, I'm gonna do this super chat or
Thanks.
Cheers from Cyclops fan Logan. To a lot of CM Punk fans, Punk is allowed to say whatever he wants about people on TV, but God forbid anyone does the same to him. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and wherever CM Punk goes, problems arrive. Look, you're not untrue on this. Two things. You're on the right track with the Brawl for All at Wrestle Dream, but they're paying tribute to Inoki. I know there's a power slap out there, but this is how you pay tribute to Inoki. Just let them all slap the shit out of each other. Okay. So that's where you go with Wrestle Dream. Dana White's going to get mad at that, but you know what? It's going to draw more partnership. I don't care. Second thing, when we're talking about paying bills and stuff. So funny story. Sean Ross Sapp, who I assume people know, he's made no secret about this. He's like, subscriptions when it comes to Fightful Select, the first of the month, because that's when like a lot of people sign up and everything. And then he's like, oh, because they introduced annual billing last year.
Anniversary billing.
Okay, anniversary billing. Sorry. Because they introduced that last year. A lot of people signed up after All Out last year because of Brawl Out. So that's like the 5th. He's like, yeah, after the 1st and the 5th, like subs might fall off and stuff. And so he's like, he wanted to try to put out some big stories on the 1st and the 5th to entice people to stay signed up and everything. And I'm like, you ain't got to worry about that September 1st and September 5th, because some dumb shit's going to happen between those dates this year. And lo and behold, everybody, some dumb shit happened on August 27th. So ain't got to worry about the subs falling off this time, Sean. Some dumb shit's going to keep happening. All right. Let's actually move on to the card. And I will start with CM Punk, because I thought his match against Samoa Joe was awesome. I thought this was a great match. And honestly, one of my favorite matches of the night until maybe the main event. But like this was a match where you watch two guys who know how to work a stadium crowd. They've been in that environment before. Certainly Punk has. Joe's worked WrestleMania. He worked like that weird match against Ray that was like 30 seconds. And he was there in a poncho.
That was at 35 when he had the Ray match. That was the same as the Baron. It was Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle, and then they did that, and they did the Joe match. Yeah, it was bad. It was when they were trying to beat up the time.
Yeah, and then he was there in a poncho. So I think those are only Joe's 2 WrestleMania matches, aren't they?
I think so. He didn't work Pandemic Mania.
Well, that doesn't count. That's not a stadium anyway.
Yes, it was. It was the WWE Universal Stadium.
Okay. So he hasn't worked like the stadium too often, but certainly he's been in the WWE environment and knows how to work just the bigger arenas overall. Punk, you can tell he's worked the stadiums before. Those were 2 dudes who just went out there and had first off, it was a really good match. And two, they knew just how to work the stadium. Punk playing up the Hogan stuff, all the callbacks to past ROH matches, Joe with the expressions that if you're watching the big screen, you can react to all of this stuff. Just two great professional wrestlers. And it's honestly a shame that the CM Punk story is the CM Punk story, the backstage stuff, because this match was fantastic. This match was, again, one of my favorite matches on the show. Punk hit the Pepsi plunge. You said you called this. I don't remember. I'll take your word for it.
So what happened was you and I were talking about what else can Punk do if he doesn't win with the go to sleep, because the golden vampire spot, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, do we do the golden, like, do we do the golden plunge? Do we do the Pepsi plunge? And we both kind of said to each other, I don't know. And then I said, you know what? He's going to do it. And that's that.
Okay. I don't remember. My memory sucks though. So I'll take your word for it.
Yes.
But yeah, I love this match. And we'll see where things go with Punk, because now some stuff might be up in the air. But I absolutely love this match. And we're not going to go match by match or anything here. But I am curious your thoughts on Punk and Joe.
So I really enjoyed the match. Again, because I had put my phone down and I was like, I'm going to watch this match because I only had limited time to watch anything live. I did watch this match live and I largely enjoyed it. I saw Punk bleeding off of the table spot, and I was just like, okay, this is the tone we're setting for the night.
That's how it ruled too.
And it did. And again, these two guys clearly have a respect for each other and a love, a professional love. So it's such an easy match for these two to have. And I expected it to be as good as it was. So yes, I very much enjoyed the match. It wasn't long. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was a hot open. The crowd was chanting in all directions, which I enjoyed. And later on in the night, I'm going to say I didn't enjoy the fact that the crowd was chanting in every direction for literally every match and every wrestler on the card. But for this particular match, this was kind of expected and kind of okay. At the end of the day, Joe is just a giant garbage human being character, and Punk is like straddling that line in certain ways. So I enjoyed the match. It was a good finish. That Pepsi plunge was what it was. It's 2023. These guys have been doing this match for the last almost 20 years, let's say. So, you don't expect it to be perfect, but they got it off and it was a big high spot to finish the match. People were surprised and excited. I couldn't complain. My biggest concern is always the what's next. And like you said, now we don't know, because we again, when we get to the main event, we talk about Max and Adam Cole. Like it went off the air how you said it would, and that's cool. And we're going to talk about that. You'll take a victory lap because I totally, bow to that sentiment. I think the love letter to professional wrestling comment that you made a couple of shows ago was very apt and right on the nose. And you started seeing that as early as the 0 hour when they won those tag titles, the Ring of Honor tag titles. And then it kind of plays out throughout the night in certain ways, but we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, the Punk match was solid. And it was just, when I finally picked up my phone and saw a tweet, and it may have been from the Fightful account, being like, security is following Punk to the back. I didn't see that part because I was already working on other stuff, turned off my phone and turned off the show. But I went back and watched it later, and it was like one security guard was following him to the back. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was like Goldberg security level.
Punk doesn't need the security guard. Everybody who's come up to him, he's handled himself. Well, somebody needs the body cam footage is what we need. Like, I don't care. Punk seems to be doing fine. Doesn't need the scare. I want the footage. That's what I need. All these people, all these AEW millennials, get your cell phone out. What are we doing here? Come on, guys. Come on. Somebody said, like, have the cell phone recorded in World Star. Yeah. What are we doing? I agree.
When that, again, going back to the news, this is the last thing I want to say about the Perry and Punk stuff. When it dropped, my immediate thought was, tell your pettiest friends about AEW, because they will love literally everything that they hear about AEW. Tag team titles. This was when the friendship love letter kind of fell apart, because FTR ended up winning the match. They retained the world tag titles. And we'll talk about the match itself, sure, but really the big moment was after the match when they went for the handshake. Bucks walked away. There was no handshake. That was that.
All the elite guys lost on this show, and I know Omega lost to set up to a Takeshita match for next week.
It's like the first pay-per-view all over again. Not All In, but the first AEW pay-per-view.
This, like, the Bucks and FTR match, I don't know. I thought it was like fine, but this is what I mean when it comes to like playing big stadiums and stuff. They felt like they were not playing the stadium here. They were going to go out there and do their match. The energy of the match, I know a few people commented, felt weird, but I don't think it was like a performer thing. I think it was just a dynamic thing. And the dynamic felt off just even leading up to the match. Let's be honest, the Young Bucks are best when they're dicks. Like, when they can just be little pricks, that's when they are at their best. And FTR, they can work babyface or heel, but they were like kind of healing up. The dynamic just wasn't great in this match. It picked up by the end. It turned out to be a very good match. I'm not going to say it was like a bad match or anything, but I'd have to go back and rewatch stuff. I feel like I remember the first match was it wasn't in front of fans, which was unfortunate, but that was very much love letter to tag team wrestling type thing. The second match I really enjoyed. And this match was good, but I don't think it was the greatest tag team match of all time that they were, very much shooting for or anything.
What's tough about that? First of all, I will spotlight by the way, Thursdays on the main channel in the morning. So the Shatter Machine finish to Nick. I think Nick got the most out of that he possibly could have, taking that Shatter Machine. And it was just a good solid finish. That being said, when you have a tag team like FTR who just had a series of fantastic matches with the Briscoe brothers, and unfortunately, we lost Jay earlier this year, and just that, it doesn't overshadow what this was. But when you think about the best tag team feuds, and we're trying to get the Bucks and FTR back on that page, it's really hard not to remember that FTR and the Briscoes just had last year some of the best tag team matches, most love letter to tag team wrestling matches in the last little while. So it's a little tough. It's a different feud, but that's more in my head than what was going on with the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, it was a good match. It was a great match. I don't want to downplay it by just saying it was good, but there was a lot of hype going into it for a good reason. And the dynamic just felt a little bit off. I saw people saying that, like, as great as they are as tag teams, and they are great, they're arguably the two best in the world right now. They're arguably, I don't think it's even arguable, they're two of the best teams of all time. Sometimes you can be two great workers or two great teams, and you just ain't got chemistry with each other. Like, sometimes it just happens, and they have two very different styles as well. And sometimes those styles clash, don't play out the way you want them to. And this is not to downplay any of their matches, because they are all very good to great matches. It just wasn't the, all-time greatest tag team match that I think a lot of people wanted. I mean, when I look back at like an FTR run, I'm going to be more fond of the Briscoes match and the DIY matches over the Young Buck stuff.
Yep, and I fully agree. Let's hit a couple super chats here. Let's start with Chi-Town Spurs. At what point does it start to show At what point does it start to be malpractice to report Punk's side of things, quote unquote? Bro side has lied about key details 3 times now. That the problem is, it's not malpractice. It's, you just say this came from CM Punk's camp. This is what they are saying. We can only report, and Sean, is the one who's primarily gathering the information, but like, we can only report what we get. We don't know the full truth. We only know what people are saying to us. We can double source things and get it, but like, at the end of the day, if we hear it from one side, we're going to report this is one side, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what is he not supposed to report? This is one side. I think it's good that he frames it of like, no, this is what basically Punk's side is saying, instead of just saying sources are saying this and then sources are saying that. you want to frame both sides and then come up with your conclusion after that. The truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? When it comes to this kind of stuff. So I don't think it's malpractice at all. I actually think like that's how it's supposed to be. And, his side has lied. According, to him, probably not. To that side, probably not. But we don't know what the actual truth is until we get some type of video. We don't know what if the other side's lying? We don't know.
I've heard this before on other shows, but it is, you got this guy's side, and then the truth. There are 3 sides to the argument. So this is what we're trying to do, is we are trying to frame one side, the other side, and like Jeremy said, somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah, that's how it is with every story, unless you get the video evidence or whatever the evidence is. If it's just 2 sides talking, typically the truth is in the middle.
I like that we are now a journalism podcast. Although, listen, if WrestleNomics can drop videos about what the actual attendance at WrestleMania 3 was, that was an all-timer. God bless Brandon Thurston. But if he can do that, we can do this.
You know what tweet popped me more than anything all friggin' weekend was, Thurston has been working really hard on this like attendance stuff. And the one big sticking point was the boxes, like the suites of how many people were in the suites type of thing. And during Stadium Stampede, they brawled up into the stands and stuff. And Thurston's just like, show the suites so I can count the people in there. I popped so hard when I saw this. And the wife is like, what's so funny? And I'm trying to explaining it to her. And like, she just hasn't been following it. So like, I could tell this was not hitting with her in the same way. And I'm just like, you gotta trust me. If you've been following Thurston's tweets and like his reporting on this, that tweet is hilarious. But if you haven't been following it, it's just like, sure, Brandon.
The only man in wrestling media. And by the way, Brandon, if you're watching, and I doubt you are because I can't blame you, just know I say this with love. The only man in wrestling media who buys a ticket to the event and still comes to the scrum. The man is a legend.
Brandon Thurston rules.
I appreciate every interaction I have with him. And if you get a chance after this, go to the WrestleNomics YouTube channel. I'll put it over. It's a 9.5 minute deep dive on what the actual attendance numbers at WrestleMania 3 were. And it's completely different than anything anyone else had. He gives you the math. He shows his work. The dude is he's on another level when it comes to the numbers of pro wrestling. When people call him the smartest, I think it's very much when it comes to the numbers and the WrestleNomics as it is, that he is top notch. There are people who are incredible news writers and news gatherers, but Brandon's top of his game when it comes to those numbers. I have to put him over for that.
Yeah, he's the absolute best.
Why Solobo sent a super chat saying AEW's fan base is super divided. Do you guys foresee the backstage drama eventually leading to fights at shows between fans? Well, listen, keep the fighting at shows in the fans area to be the Stadium Stampede match. Okay. Put them in the Kings or the Queens, whatever, the suites, because that match was all over the place. Stadium Stampede was fun, but it's nearly impossible to follow all the action. And there are certain points where you're just looking at the screen and you're just like, wait, who's fighting? Is it fans? Oh no, it's Eddie Kingston. He's wearing a New York Knicks jersey. The only man who could get away with going to the UK and getting cheered for wearing a Knicks jersey. Maybe Joe Holbert. I don't know. But oh no, he'd be wearing a Sixers jersey. But anyway,
yeah.
This it was a fun match. Sue showing up was incredible. I love that Excalibur's Sue is Tony Sting. It's just fun, silly shit. The Penta Oscuro showing up.
That ruled. That's the smartest man in wrestling right there. He's like, you know what? Let me take 15 minutes out of this match to go to a costume change.
It was so good. The man was just like, I don't need to be here. And then they go into the ladder spot. It was good stuff. There was something that happened in this match that I had it written down. I don't know where I wrote it down. I lost it, but there was something that happened that I couldn't stop cackling. It was so silly and so stupid, but it was towards the finish. May have been on the stage, but either way, it wasn't even they brawled everywhere.
The ladder broke.
The ladder did break, but there was something else that someone said. It may have been something that Excalibur said, But either way, it was just full of funny shit. They brawled. The only people who really brawled everywhere were Claudio and Eddie, because I assume this is setting up for Final Battle, where they're going to do the ROH World Championship match. And I'm fine with Eddie Kingston winning the ROH World Championship at Final Battle. So with all this in mind, talk to me about Stadium Stampede. It was what it was. Oh, no horses, by the way. That was the downside.
Yeah, no horses. Overall though, like this was just a lot of fun. Moxley took the skewers. Everybody was bleeding. Orange Cassidy bleeding was a sight. Orange Cassidy doing the Taipei death match, dipping his fist into the glass and everything. The closing shot with Eddie and Mox flipping each other off after the match was over. Well, just a lot of dumb fun. I was wondering how they would do this. It was very Anarchy in the Arena-ish, because it's a similar thing, right? You're just brawling all over the arena. You can call it what you want. At the end of the day, it's just brawling all over the arena. But it was a ton of fun. And I don't have much more to say about that. Is this a classic wrestling match? No, but all of these brawls that now, whether it's Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede, there's enough character and enough personality and enough just shit happening to where it's memorable, and it's going to stick out, and it's going to be different, even in a show that has plenty of blood as it is. Like, you ain't gonna, okay, this match had a lot of blood, other people bled throughout the show, but they weren't bleeding because of forks and glass. Well, maybe Jack Perry, but ladders just randomly breaking, tables. Sue was there. I thought Sue should have run over Blackpool Combat Club. Moxley gave her a kiss and everything. Again, all of these guys are good enough workers. They have the character work, they have the personalities, they have the connection with the crowd that it makes this stuff memorable. And so it's not this wrestling classic or anything, but when you look back on this show, it's certainly something you're going to remember that spot, or you're going to remember this spot from it. And that's what these things are all about. So it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Sue being kissed by Moxley was hilarious to me. I love that. I'm glad that you remembered it. The what I remembered, this was the line. It was, she drives up and Excalibur says, "I didn't know she had a UK driver's license." And everyone at the announce table just lost it. And so that was the one moment where I was just like, good stuff. It was a fun match. It was what it was. Hopefully it's gonna blow off a few feuds on the way. But
when friggin', Orange Cassidy's doing his Orange Cassidy stuff, hands in the pockets and all this stuff, and then he kips up and Moxley just forks him in the back, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here?
That's what you do. Needs more horse.
We're getting Mox and Orange Cassidy on Sunday, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's assuming Moxley walks out AEW International Champion after Wednesday, when he faces, I forget.
No, Orange Cassidy's facing Penta on Wednesday.
Is he? Okay.
And the winner faces Moxley.
I can't remember.
Yes,
there was a lot happening. There was a lot. Don't ask me press conference questions, because then we got to talk about the Women's World Champion, the new one. Boom, boom, clap. Saraya won. I don't know, man.
Look, Joel, I know people are mad about this. I get that. I truly get that. But like, what did I say? And you already told me I could take my victory lap. I'll take a portion of it here.
Sure.
This was about moments. This show was about moments, and hey, thank you for everything. Thank you for your contributions to wrestling. Love letter to wrestling stuff, more than it was about any type of story. And the moment was Saraya getting Queen, being out there with her family. I don't even know if she was the most over person in the match. Like, they had to get Queen for her to get her the cheer and everything.
She was not the most over person in the match.
Yeah.
She was not.
Look, I completely 1,000,000% understand if, like, why are we taking the belt off of Shida when she just won it less than a month ago? Why couldn't Shida get a longer reign? I get it. I'm not happy about that either. But my expectation was we're going to get happy ending moments, big celebrations on this show. And we did. We really did for the most part. I mean, the two exceptions might be Takeshita and Omega, because I assume people wanted the elite guys to win, but they were setting up Takeshita and Omega for next week. And FTR and Bucks could have gone either way. Like, crowd was pretty split on that. So I don't think either one was like a bad call there. Everything else, this is what I expected. I expected the happy ending stuff. And this was a happy ending for Saraya.
But you could have done Sheeta winning the damn match because she was cheered very heavily. People, front row signs, holy Sheeta. I know, I don't know if you're about to say I agree, but let's just say that you are about to say I agree. You could have done literally every other spot, and you just could have done the finish with the lockjaw roll up, and people would have been largely okay with it. Instead, we did this weird, like, are the Outcasts breaking up? Are we continuing the story? What are we doing? It's not going to be resolved anytime soon. I could tell you that much, whatever they're about to do.
Saraya could not finish the chapter, finish her book. She could not finish her story if she didn't win. She couldn't finish the book or chapter.
Tony Storm pointed out to God Save the Queen. That was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Movie starlet. Chi-Town Spurs asking Saraya's mom versus Sue when? Put it in the... You know what? That, to me, is the all-out main event.
I'm for that.
Listen, if there's one thing that Saraya's mom's going to do, it's put herself into a main event title match. And then I know we're not going through the whole thing. I don't want to go too far into the coffin match. I just want to talk about the entrances. Loved that Swerve had someone coming down to the ring with him. I forget his name. I'm so sorry. Wrapping him down to the ring was good. And then, yes, so Seek and Destroy. Again, didn't see it live. Saw the tweets, and I said, oh, cool, they're doing the WCW thing. And I was like, I don't know what versions they're going to get. This is the nerd in me, let me tell you. The version that Sting came out to in WCW in 99 of Seek and Destroy was from 1999 Woodstock. And it is a very, it's so different for a lot of different reasons, but it's a really good version of Seek and Destroy. Most people don't know that, that's what it was in WCW. They don't know that it was on the WCW album, which was not great, but it had moments. It did. And then last night at All In, he came out to the original version of Seek and Destroy from Kill 'Em All, which was fine. There's just something innately different about 1983 Metallica recorded on vinyl, that style versus 1999. We've been a band for 20 years and we've been doing all the drugs and all the drinking. We've been on the road together. It's just a different sound. And so it was still really fun. The little art house project where Sting is doing his English impression is so stupid, and I love it. And then the match was fine. The match is all just to get to All Out, and the big change with Christian Cage was it was fine. Luchasaurus came out, they did the whole schmaz. It was fine. I don't know if you have anything to add.
It was what I expected. It. Joel, you were very caught up on Sting is going to go in the coffin. Sting is going to go in the coffin. No, Joel, happy endings on this, and that's what we got. We got Sting and Darby. They did some cool spots. Sting, going through the table, everything with the leg drop. It was a good match. Now we'll see where it goes after Swerve kind of taking this loss. I assume things will kind of continue, but AR Fox was trying to apologize to Nick Wayne on Collision and everything. I don't think things are over. Obviously, they're not over between Christian and Darby and Luchasaurus because we got the match on Sunday. But I hope they still have something lined up for Swerve because they put him in a coffin here. He's got to bounce back from this somehow. So I'm not worried about Swerve. He's good enough to make the most out of these things. But losing AR Fox was a tough deal for him because that was going well. And then they just decided to go where they were going to go with that. And we'll see when it comes to Swerve. I think he'll be okay.
One thing in the presentation it's pointed out to me, Sting wore the red and black, the Wolfpack style Sting shirt. That was cool. So that goes with the 99 Seek and Destroy entrance theme. We got a bits from Cyclops Better Than Logan over on twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming, where I swear to God we still exist. Only one women's match, and it was the shortest, and person who no one wanted to win won. Booker of the Year, LOL. I'm sure someone wanted Saraya to win, and that's fine.
Family.
But sure. All 17 of them coming out and going boom, boom, clap.
Yeah. Her family wanted her to win. All right, let's talk about the women's stuff and the women's match. And Tony was asked about it in the press conference. He gave the Tony Khan answer. One, I think, I was paying tribute to the original All In with a 4-way, and there was only one women's match on that show. That's stupid. That's not a good answer. Saying like, it was just paying tribute to the original All In where they only had one women's match and it was a 4-way. So that's what we did. Praise me for this. No, that's friggin' dumb. You can be better than that. Okay. This is not you don't have to pay tribute to that original All In by just booking one women's match. And then that's how you're going to pass this off and try to escape this. No, that's stupid. There should have been another women's match on this show. There should have been a women's battle royal at the very least on 0 Hour, especially once you upped it to a 2-hour 0 Hour, which I assume they knew they were going to do long before the actual show, because they flew Miro over there. They flew Hobbs over there. They had Grado lined up. Like, they knew they were going to do some of this stuff. So I know people may have not been happy with women's battle royal, but still, at least get them on the show. At least give them something. I will say, I do agree with Tony about like the pacing and stuff, because I thought the pacing was very good. It did not feel like a long show. I didn't think anything like fully overstated its welcome or dragged or anything like that. If you do add another women's match to the show, then stuff has got to get cut. You don't want to cut too much stuff. Like, I kind of get where he's coming from with that. There's still no excuse not to have some type of women match on the pre-show when you had 2 hours on this. This really just comes down to a bigger picture argument, a bigger picture criticism of AEW is there ain't that many interesting women's stories going on. Ruby and Stat, which is going to be this weekend, is literally Ruby just won a match and is like, hey, give me a title shot. And Stat's like, okay, sure, let's do a title match. Ruby's there. She's trying to help keep the Outcasts together. She gets hit. And then that's that. The women's storytelling just hasn't been good. And that's the real criticism. Not put another women's match on the show. Put another women's match on the show. Give the reason a chance to deserve the other women's match. Because even this one was just, hey, a little tournament here. Little mini tournament where Tony Storm gets a bye because we'd already booked a Shida match. So Shida is now part of this tournament to get into this title match that she already has, type of deal.
I will say, okay, the way that they kind of got around that was clever. I hate it. And we talked about this. I hated the way that Tony booked the entrance into this match, but Shida had a title defense lined up, so it was less Shida wins and she's in. It was more like, oh, Shida wins her title defense that was already scheduled, then she's gonna be in the match. So like, it felt just that it was like we kind of made it work, but again, the overall was just like, this is dumb. Why are you doing it this way? You could have had a story that built to a one-on-one match. Even if you planned for Saraya 3 weeks ago to be the champion walking out of All In, could have done Shida versus Saraya, and that would have been fine too. But here we are. They didn't do it. And you're right. I think you have a very good point in that the stories are what is lacking in the women's division of AEW. And the Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho stuff drove me up the wall. And we talked about that last week, where I said, you have 4 women on Collision in that TBS title story that just started something that people are enjoying. You have Willow, you have Diamante, you have Mercedes Martinez, and you have Chris Statlander. All 4 women are linked in the past, and AEW loves to hit you over the head with things that happened in the past. Excalibur did it in the FTR Bucks match and was just like, oh, shades of Full Gear 2020. And I was like, dang, I don't remember this. But this is a company that loves to do that. And to a certain degree, I understand that it's rewarding your viewers. But if you're not going to tell me the story of these 4 women leading to a TBS title match with some configuration of these 4, what the bloody hell are we doing? And that's my biggest gripe with the women's division, because you and I had a very heated conversation going into SummerSlam about the Trish and Becky stuff. And I had a very similar take to what you just said. It is the flow, it is the pacing, it is the way the card is set up. Could there have been another women's match? The Battle Royal we talked about once upon a time could have done it. Winner gets the Women's World Champion it all out or something. But we're not doing that. And they didn't do that. And they clearly didn't give a shit to do it. And Tony's answer just falls on deaf ears every single time, because he gets the same question and he answers the same thing. And people just, they don't just deal with it. They don't just deal with it, but they can't change it. And there's nothing being changed. And I think that's what's most frustrating to me.
What I didn't like about his answer was like, we have a lot of great stars. You know, we had to keep stars off of this show. And he pointed to, you know, next week we have Miro and Hobbs at All Out. It's like, yeah, but you still put Miro and Hobbs on this show. Like, they were still there. They still did like an angle. And then he couldn't name any other stars on the men's side that were left off the show, because unless it was an injury, most of them were on this show. So yeah, I don't buy Tony's answer of, oh, we had to leave a bunch of great stars off of this show. You know, the time is limited. I do buy the answer that you don't want to mess the flow and the pacing and stuff, because if you do put somebody on, you got to cut somebody. But that there's still no excuse for, okay, well then tell better stories in the women's division and give them a chance to earn the opportunity to be on this show. Or you got 2 hours, put something on there for the women to just give them a little something. And yeah, is it like the least you can do? Are people still going to be mad about that in some way? Probably, but at least they're getting that opportunity on this stage to go out there and wrestle instead of all sitting at home. I still maintain Athena and Riho should have been on this show. I don't care how. You could have just done a match between them, because I really just want to see Athena and Riho in this match. But Athena's been their best booked woman between the two companies. She's been the best booked. She should have been on this show.
And if they're not going to put her on this show, I swear to God, just put her on the All Out card. I don't care if it's a 0-hour match. I don't care what it is. She deserves to be on that card, and there deserves to be a second women's match on that All Out card. We'll see what they do when they get there, but I'm going to, first of all, 2 things. One, there's a Facebook comment that's, because most people are watching on various other platforms, I'm going to bring this up. This Sunday showed that Impact Wrestling has the best women's division. And you know what? I was there live, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm so much looking forward to talking about Deonna Purrazzo and Trinity main eventing that show. They brought Gail Kim in on commentary. They had a woman as the referee and a woman as the ring announcer, because that is now the thing to do in wrestling, which, okay, sure. You know what? Showcase what you've got. Showcase the women that you have. The women's, the Knockouts Tag Title 4-way was also a lot of fun. We're going to talk about that. But I think it's worth talking about, because very much people talk about the Impact Wrestling women's locker room. And you know what? FightfulSelect.com, you're going to have another addition to that locker room real soon, or at least a re-edition. So go check that out. Best $5 in the business. Cyclops Better Than Logan says, I don't know. Sorry, what?
It's Jordan Grace. They announced that last night.
Yeah, but they announced she's coming back, but we have the details.
Okay. Well, yeah, she'll be back at Victory Road. That's the detail.
Well, but we got more details about.
Okay, we do have more details, but let's not act like we're giving away some. Go to Fightful Select, and you're gonna find out this big return that you don't know about. You know, Jordan Grace is coming back. If you want more details,
it's in the headline. It's in the headline of Fightful Select. Yes, it's in the headline of Fightful Select that is Jordan Grace, which you would have seen for free. But then, if you paid the $5, you get the details. Damn it, Jeremy! Stop taking away my plug. Cyclops Better Than Logan over sends us bits. Says, I don't know if Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet signing. Sorry, I don't know if Sasha's signing, but I don't know why she would want to join a company that puts so little effort into the women's division when that was her beef with WWE, in my opinion. So this is the thing. They showed Mercedes Monet on the screen early in the match. Sorry, early in the show, in the 0-hour. And, you know, people were excited. And she, of course, posted photos of herself with the London Eye and all that stuff. And I was just like, okay, cool. She's probably in London. I don't think she's able to compete yet. And people took photos of her still wearing her walking boot. Sure. Okay. But I'm kind of the same mindset. the amount of times you can tell talent you're going to change the course of our division or you're going to make it better. Saraya was brought in a year ago at Grand Slam and said the exact same thing. And where are we now? Nothing's changed. She got a big fat ass payday, which I'm sure her and the way she was brought up in wrestling with her family are like thrilled about. And sure, good for you, get the bag. If I'm Mercedes Monet and I'm all about changing the game, and I'm watching my former tag team partner do that right now in Impact, and that's not to say Mercedes isn't doing it or wasn't doing it before her injury, I wouldn't be running to AEW because I don't think there's any change that happens by you being there. The change comes from the booker and the storytellers making the stories matter to the audience, and they're not doing that with AEW's women's division right now.
I don't know what her plans are. I think she's doing much more for New Japan, or was before she got injured, for New Japan and Stardom than she's likely to do in AEW at this point. And I know AEW is going to run bigger shows. They're running, they literally just ran the biggest show of all time yesterday. So I know like that stage means a lot, and I think every wrestler probably wants to be on that stage. But she's doing more for New Japan and Stardom and wrestling on those shows than I think she could possibly do at AEW if she was just there weekly. Because, and this is not a knock on Mercedes and her star power or anything like that. Jade Cargill has just as much star power as Mercedes. Jade Cargill is somebody who stands out immediately. Jade Cargill is not the wrestler that Mercedes is. I think that's very fair to say. But when you talk about look, charisma, presence, just the eye capture when you see Jade Cargill, it's there. Everything is there. And they could present her in a similar fashion, and they don't do it. They did what they did with Jade. She doesn't have the matches that Mercedes has. But if you want to just talk about someone who has all the star power that could change the division, that should change the division, they had that. And they did what they did with her. So yeah, I don't think Mercedes being there every week is going to change that much because they're just putting their efforts into everything else. I don't know if Mercedes is going to sign. I know there was a lot of rumor, a lot of talk that she was going to be part of Forbidden Door. There's now a lot of rumor, a lot of talk that she's going to be part of some type of show when they return. Wrestle Dream is supposed to have New Japan talent on it. Tony was pretty honest and open of saying, like, we've talked, we want to work something out. Seems hint, wink, wink, nod, that there will be some New Japan talent on Wrestle Dream. If Mercedes is cleared by then, does she get a match? Maybe. And maybe that's all she does. Maybe she just has a match, but doesn't come in full time. To me, it looked like she was enjoying everything with Japan, enjoying that life, enjoying that style. And I think she was making an actual change on that. And that doesn't preclude her from doing AEW stuff or possibly doing something with Impact or going wherever she wants to go. Obviously, if you're signed to AEW, your commitments are there. And yeah, they let you do a New Japan show or in this case, a Stardom show or anything like that. But you still got to be committed to them over everything else. And I think she's just happier not doing that and just kind of traveling, taking time off at times, and then working the shows and the matches she wants to work.
Funny because as you were talking about Mercedes and changing the game and all that stuff, I got a reply to a tweet about Jordan Grace and Impact, and someone said, how does AEW not sign her? And my immediate response was, looking at how their division is booked, that's how.
I'm sure AEW does want her. We anytime these conversations is think of what the other person. There's two sides to a negotiation. It's not just, hey, we want you, here's a bunch of money. The other person has to say, hey, cool, I'll take this money and be happy with whatever you're going to give me. The other person can say, hey, cool, thanks for the interest, but you know what? I want to do this, maybe make a little less money, but pick and choose and realize I might just be better off doing all of these things instead of being locked into this where I'm maybe not going to have the opportunities that I want.
We'll get to this super chat from Caden and then we'll move on. because we don't want this to overstay its welcome. Caden says, "Where is Jade Cargill?" Well, she's off. This was always planned time off, so it's not like Tony's gonna call her up and be like, "Hey, come back, please." Because if I'm Jade Cargill, I'd be like, "You want me back? You got to pay me to come back right now. You got to make it worth my while." So
could you imagine Jade Cargill in that stadium though? Like,
oh, champ mentality. Would have loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is Willow not on either of these pay-per-views? I agree. We just talked about it. Joshi Talent, same thing. They had Shida, who was the women's world champion, and that's about it. Collision women's story all of a sudden dropped. Division's a mess. That's exactly it. Just it sucks, you know. The Jade stuff you can't do anything about because this was always planned. And you know what? I'm okay with them spending the time, giving her the opportunity to refresh, do whatever she needs to do to get right, or at least like if it's planned, the time off, and she comes back better than ever. I'm all for it. But for everything else, Caden, yeah, you hit it on the head, just like we were talking about. Anyway, we're not going to overstay our welcome. Unless you want to add something.
I was going to say I agree with Cyclops is better than Wolverine here. Jade should be on commercials, on morning talk shows, and be as much a star as Bianca. Tony doesn't care about making stars in the women. I'm with you. I do want to talk about like the media of All In leading up to it because I want to go beyond what we just saw on the television screen, but after we recap the show.
Yeah, sure. So in the interest of things that overstayed its welcome, Chris Jericho sang had his band sing him down to the ring. He did the
Ayo.
Do you know what that is? Do you know that gimmick?
Ayo. Yeah, it's Freddie Mercury Live Aid.
Yeah, it's the Live Aid.
Do you think Freddie Mercury was in the building, Joel?
Maybe there? The spirit of Freddie through Emi Sakura, who was not on the
show. Jim Ross asking, "Is Freddie here?" Just popped me so much.
Oh my
Bless Jim. Bless him.
Jericho heard all of us talking about how they were going to pre-record his vocals and said, and unfortunately that come to pass. Anyway, the match with Will Ospreay was very good.
Yeah.
They had a very solid outing. Will Ospreay is wrestling like he's looking for a contract with who? I don't care because wrestling is international. He's going to be at Bound for Glory. Will Ospreay doesn't give a shit. Will Ospreay is going wherever he can to get looked at and get eyes on him because he is working hard. Jericho did his share. Not going to tell you that it's Jericho being the guy, but he did a really good job of working with Will Ospreay. The match was really good, man. And then a lot of people talked about the ending of the match. So Will gets the victory, does the hits the hidden blade right to Jericho's face after doing the Stormbreaker a few times. But really what I wanted to touch on was the post-match. I don't know if you want to go through any of the match itself because I want to talk about the Guevara and Jericho interaction post-match.
Match was very good. Will Ospreay is excellent. Just excellent professional wrestler, that William Ospreay. He did he did sorry, I just got a message on something that took away my attention. Apologies, everybody. They messed up the one spot at the end. They I don't remember exactly what it was, but it looked like it was supposed to be like a power bomb, and they kind of just lost it. Jericho countering the Stormbreaker with the Hurricane Rana, though, that one I did not expect at all. Ospreay carried a large portion of this match if you go back and watch Ospreay, but Jericho more than held his own given just how old he is. Chris Jericho steps it up in these moments, man. Say what you want about him. Again, another guy knows how to work this stadium, knows the little things you need to do, and it's just, you don't be around this long, be in the position he's in for this long without being this good and understanding how all this stuff works on this. Chris Jericho knew who he was working with, knew how he needed to work, and did that. And outside of the little slip up at the end, I thought it was a very good match.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When a little slip up happens, but the rest of the match is really good, people are very quick to just let it slide, because sometimes wrestling is at its best, even if you show a little reality in it. It doesn't have to be 100% polished. Caden sent us a super chat also saying crowns up best in the world, Billy Goat. So there you go. He had a good match. Jericho was big part of that as well. And post-match Jericho is he's upset, he's dejected, and the way that I think a few people, not a lot of people, but a few people had read it was Jericho and Sammy having some sort of beef, altercation, a match it all out. The way that I read it and maybe it'll exacerbate itself on Wednesday and it'll become a match for All Out. The way that I read it in the moment was Jericho was just pissed off that like everything's come crashing down around him. He's not winning matches. He lost a big Wembley match that he was so psyched for. He was just like, give me a minute. And Sammy being like, no, like let me console you. And Jericho being like, no, I want to be away from this. I want to be alone. But you're not letting me. He didn't push Sammy. He didn't shove him. He just kind of said like, no, like let me go cry in the corner over here because I'm sad. Again, that could end up on Wednesday, Sammy being upset and being the little kid talking to his veteran and being like, you know, how dare you? And it turns into a match. But at the moment, I was just like, no, this is just dejected babyface Jericho. So I don't know if you felt any different.
I thought it was an unnecessary thing that took away from Will Ospreay's
Yes.
win.
Yes.
Is what I thought. I was like, oh, can we not do like this Jericho and Sammy soap opera stuff right now? Like, can we leave that for another time? Let Ospreay get his big celebration, let him get his moment and do that stuff later on. I can see it both ways of Jericho just being dejected, like give me a moment, and Sammy being one who's home. I can also just see him of like, go screw yourself. We'll let it play out, and we will see what happens on Wednesday, I guess, between Jericho and Sammy. At least Sammy was there. You know, the rest of the guys, I guess they left Jericho, but they were not there. So yeah, that's where we're at with everything on Jericho and the inner circle. Don't worry, everybody. Jericho's going to get plenty of TV time to tell the story.
How many people? Hold on. So Sammy made it, but so Hager 2.0, Danny Garcia, and I mean, I guess Ty's she's Anna Jay. Let's just take Anna Jay out. But for 4, they were just the members of Fozzy. They got the plane tickets instead. They had to come over. And of course, Jericho did everything we said that he would do the night before at the Rev Pro show.
Yeah, he did show up as expected. Chris Jericho loves a good mask attack, man. He could show up on these indie shows. He loves that. Bless him.
Was so funny because I posted this like late at night. When it happened, I found the Fightful Select report about the Ospreay versus Jericho match at All In being talked about. And this was like a month ahead of All In, I should say. It was All In, not All Out. And I tweeted it out and just the headline, and I said, July 27th at 3:52 p.m. was the moment I knew Jericho was going to show up at the Rev Pro show and take out Will Ospreay. And I had to pop myself with that. But anyway, trios match was good. I loved the Bray Wyatt tribute at the beginning. That was very classy. It's very sweet. I love that Buddy just kind of produced it. It just kind of came out from the back and he put it down. You could see that Malachi was he looked down at it. It was like he was saying something to it, but it was a very sweet moment, very, very like perfect moment for that group. Match was fine. Badass Billy Gunn having 2 D's and bad because every other name that he has 2 letters in it next to each other. So that's why it's Badass Billy Gunn with 2 D's. It was fine. The match was fine. New Trios champions are the House of Black, a bunch of baby faces now that they've given up the titles. And what was the extra stipulation because it was a house rules match? I didn't catch it.
It was they said it beforehand. I honestly already forgot what somebody in the chat.
No holds barred.
Okay, yeah, no holds barred. Yeah, all right. So there. They did it. They did their little house rules gimmick. Yeah, Billy Gunn. The wife just messaged no DQ. So yeah, that's what they decided to go with. Yeah, them giving up the titles was sort of weird. Hey, Joel, no holds barred. Joel,
they're on delay. Give them a break. They're on a delay.
It was no holds barred. Hey, Joel, it was no holds barred.
Anyone else want to chime in with no holds barred? While you're here,
great movie.
Up to it.
Dookie.
I was thinking about that too, but I hate that guy. Anyway, just thumbs up.
Fair.
Thumbs up.
He was in Japan and America at the same time.
That's right. You know that he had 450 matches in a year because he would catch up on the time by flying back and forth to Japan. God, this man.
He faced Brock Lesnar after Brock won the UFC heavyweight title as well.
He was going to be a Pride fighter back in 1979, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years before Pride.
Yeah, Acclaimed won. They got their big moment. House of Black giving up the titles was like a little weird. It's like you guys are these spooky dudes who like steal masks and put curses on people and just are generally mean and not nice. And it's like, hey, here's your belts. Where are we going with this? I guess we'll find out on everything. I don't know if that was fully necessary, but maybe they'll turn it into something.
Yeah, and otherwise the match was fine. I really wish that they had done this at Chicago. That's just me, though.
Billy Gunn yelled "suck my dick" in front of 81,000 people, very loud.
Okay, that's why they did it in Wembley. And in the main event, MJF versus Adam Cole. This match was it was good. Okay, I really enjoyed the match for a lot of different ways, but this was very I don't know. It was. They did the double down with the clothesline spot. Cute. 1, 2, 3. Bryce Remsburg counts 3, and then they harken back to the give me 5 more minutes, and then like, no, we're gonna. They got really cutesy with it, and those parts I didn't really love. The match itself, when they were fighting each other and doing the moves and doing the stuff, it was really fun and really good. And yeah, they were just kind of rehashing, but also reminding us that they're both dickheads and they're both just bad human beings, but you love them anyway. MJF wins. He retains. Hugs Adam Cole after giving him his Ring of Honor tag title. They tease a little bit. And yeah, it was fine. It was but I'm really like, yeah, I know you're gonna have a lot to say about it, but I went into it just being like, yeah, okay, this is fine. But I didn't walk away loving every single piece of it. There was just a lot going on. Go ahead.
I think this sums it up.
I have no friends.
It's friendship.
You know what? When Impact offered me 4 tickets to last night's show, I had to bring my family. Okay, I'm not friends with my family. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But woof. Anyway, I do in fact hate friendship. I have no friends.
I thought it was a very good match. Both men worked very well. They worked very hard. Everything looked crisp and clean. You know, they were telling the story on here, and the story was Adam Cole is kind of more of an asshole than MJF, and that is what everybody was kind of believing by not the end of it, but that's where everybody's head was sort of at. It's like, oh man, Adam Cole is going to be the one to turn. He's going to be the one to turn, and that's going to be the big thing at the end of this. And they teased it a lot. Roddy Strong came out there and handed him the title, and he couldn't do it. MJF was the good guy. Put the ring back. He wasn't going to use the title. I did it. You know, Adam Cole is about to win by count out. That was my biggest gripe with the match. Is he's going to win by count out. Remsburg gets up to 9, and then MJF has to do the quick stand and dive in there. If Adam Cole cared more about the title than anything, why didn't he just, stop the count on that? I think that kind of showed that he didn't just care all about the title, that he was just, okay, I win. But that was the one thing that I was like, oh, Cole probably should just stop the count. Like, let's have a real winner type of thing there. Otherwise, I thought the story they were telling was good. Did it get a little cute? Maybe. I can understand if you think that. But in the end, they hugged it out. And this is where, once they won the titles on the pre-show, the ROH tag team titles, I'll take my victory lap. I said this was going to be a happy ending show. And when they won the ROH tag team titles, it further confirmed to me that it was going to be a happy ending show, because I did not think they were going to do the tried and true cliche of, hey, let's put the belts on them, but then now we have tag team partners who hate each other, and what are we doing with the ROH tag team titles? Are they just going to lose them? Or are we going to have one person just go, drop it and be like, here, you take this type of thing? I was like, no, I think they're going to just be best friends and defend them until they lose them in some type of triple threat match, or however they're going to lose them. It went how I kind of expected it to go, and they tried to do enough teases to make you feel like it wasn't going to be that way. And now I'm just wondering what they're setting up for All Out. Are we going to do MJF and Adam Cole against the Kingdom at All Out? Like,
For
is
the Ring
that
of
what we're
Honor
going?
Tag Team Championships in your main event. Could you imagine? I mean, listen, when we talk about Payback, it's not like they're doing much else on that side of the aisle either. So they could. I don't think they should, but we're gonna jump to the media stuff real quick. But when they announced they're gonna come back to Wembley next year, and most of social media was like, "Please don't do it the week before All Out," and then Tony Khan doubled down and said, "Guess what we're gonna do?" And I just said to myself, "You just shooting yourself in the foot for no reason, bud. What are we doing?" And I said, like,
Yeah.
at least move All Out around at this point. If you're gonna do London for All In, at least put All Out in a different city at this point, because you can't piss off Chicago every year because you're about to, if this is the way you want to do it.
You have to you have to keep with tradition. Tony Khan very big on the tradition, and that's what he's going with here. Traditions, baby.
What I am
Tony
going.
Khan has turkey at Thanksgiving, Joel. You do not break that man's traditions.
The man is fucking Tevia, the milkman from Fiddler on the Roof. He sings about tradition. He can stand on the top of your press conference and just say tradition. And I'm just going to sit there and say,
That was good. Hold on. We're burying the lead of Joel Pearl's voice there.
I know how to sing, Jeremy Lambert. We've been here before.
I thought you were a guitar player. Not all guitar players can sing.
I think I used to sing with bands as well.
That was good. Shit.
Well, thank you. Now I can't be angry at Tony anymore because he said nice things. But I'm so over Tony Khan doing this fucking tradition dance because I've watched it at every single Jewish wedding I've ever been at. It's not good. It's very frustrating.
All right, so you didn't like this match because you hate friendship. Did you hate that they? Did you hate that they won the tag team titles as well? They won with the double clothesline. You get the kangaroo kick, double clothesline, baby.
So no, I didn't hate that they won. Okay, it's not that I didn't like or hate it. I just kind of looked at it and, like you, when they won, I was like, oh yeah, no, they're gonna end the show with the friendship and the pally pals and everything. That's fine. That doesn't bug me. But what bugged me more was just like, are they gonna be on ROH now? Because your ROH World Champion sure as shit isn't. I mean, when he shows up on a backstage segment once every couple of weeks, has a match maybe once a month. Now you get your tag titles. Oh, it's not like Lucha Bros were showing up either.
Yeah, those tag titles weren't really on the shows anyway. So.
This is just, but again, like this is the big thing. This is a Kate and Reg conversation, and I'm lucky that I kind of get to get into it every Thursday for like 2 minutes on the crossover between the ROH post show and the Impact post show. But this just kind of furthers the Ring of Honor doesn't matter mentality that a lot of people are getting. If their hope is that someone's going to subscribe to Honor Club because these two are the tag champs, I can guarantee you now, don't bother, because they'll have them on for 1 week for the taping, and then that'll be it. So they'll be at Final Battle maybe, or they'll just drop the tag titles at All Out or on Dynamite as early as this Wednesday. Who knows?
I'm convinced they're going to defend these titles at All Out.
By the way, I keep seeing this Keyshawn in the chat being like, friendship is more important than booking, friendship more important than titles. Like, there is a certain there's a certain reality to that statement, and they keep saying it, and it's like, I wish friendship storylines didn't exist and all that. And there was a lot of that. So
people who don't have friends, get yourself some friends.
Do they want to go to the Impact tapings with me tonight?
This company was founded because of just people who were friends. All right. They're paying homage to the entire company, all about the friends.
Yep.
Why are you a hater of Friends, Joel?
Anyway, I'm you know what I'm
not a great show, kind of overrated if we're being honest.
That's true, very much so. They made a lot of money though. You wrote this article, so I just had to point it out. Cody with the Pharaoh plushies that are coming out. I just saw that.
Bless Cody.
I just love it. He's like a little stuffed animal of Pharaoh. It's accurate. Brown nose, blue eyes. I'm like, that's all you got? No white fur, no one eye's brown, I don't know. It's funny.
I got the wife has sent in a very good message talking about tradition, and we're talking about friends. Tony Khan is just paying tradition to the entire company of friendship. The company was founded on friendship. He's a man of tradition. He's paying tradition to the company by having friendship. Joel.
Just don't ask him what those friends are doing backstage in their roles as executive vice presidentes. Anyway, listen, All In as a whole was a really fun show. I liked a lot of it. I'd say I'd like most of it. We highlighted certain things that kind of annoyed us, but I think you and I both agreed that the show was largely enjoyable. And now they have a couple of episodes of TV before All Out in Chicago. I'm hoping that they get real dense and heavy with it, but they also, in terms of like the content, but I also hope that they don't just kind of oversaturate, because there was a lot going on at All In the last couple of weeks to build to it. But now we have to build to another pay-per-view where we're expecting another $50 paid to get it. So it's weird. It's a weird position to be in. And I don't like that they're trying to make this an annual tradition to do 2 pay-per-views back to back. You better have Tony Khan is like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I better have a streaming deal very soon, because you can't keep doing this shit.
I don't like that they're adding more pay-per-views. That's what I don't like. You want to do your back-to-back pay-per-views? Fine. Whatever. Stop adding stuff. We got a pay-per-view now in October. We have 3 AEW pay-per-views in like 6 weeks. What are we doing here? Like,
I get
that's and back-to-back shows, that's tough. That's a lot of booking. Tony even said he's going to miss the Jaguars game because they're in London the same weekend as Wrestle Dream. And he's like, well, can't go to London. Got to be here for Wrestle Dream and everything.
No, you don't, Tony. Go ahead, leave someone else in charge and see what happens. I bet it turns out pretty good. Leave Rocky in charge. Let Rocky run the show. Why not? Maybe Evil will return the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know.
But yeah, he's got a busy time coming up. I'm gonna make just a couple quick comments, and then and I say quick, like that's a lie. And then we'll kind of wrap up with All In. First, I'm gonna get the negative out of the way first. Big show, monumental show, and this doesn't sound negative. 81,000 people. It was what they reported. Seems legit when it comes to paid. Seems pretty legit and everything. Here's one criticism I kind of have for it. Didn't feel, some of the production did not make it feel like it was like this big monumental show. Some stuff did. The big pyro going off and everything. Yes. I did like the stage. No buses, Joel.
No buses, no taxi cabs, no bobbies, no big hats, no nothing. When that happened, I turned the show off.
I like the stage, the wide screen. They did some cool stuff with that and everything. I assume they didn't go big elaborate set because they wanted to go as many people as possible. Maybe in future years they will go big elaborate sets. I think this will sell well every year moving forward, though. I will say the one thing that I think WWE does very well when it comes to these big shows that AEW did none of yesterday, which maybe you can improve on moving forward, is video package stuff. And I point this out because we lost Bray Wyatt last week, and one of the best video packages of all time is him and Cena WrestleMania 30. And I'm not just saying that because they used the Eminem song, but like that's a fantastic video package. And then I rewatched that, and that led me to watching the Monster video with Danielson, which WrestleMania 30, that production team was on with that Danielson video and that Bray and Cena video. But we talk about like great video package, and WWE always says like the big cold open video that's really well produced and stuff. It gets you like in the feeling, in the moment for it. AW just jumped right into things. And then their video packages for some of these matches were either like 2 seconds long, or they were just what you would see on Dynamite. Like, I wanted just a little bit more, get you into the moment of this match and make it feel like, oh, I'm about to witness something like spectacular right now. And they've done it before. They're few and far between. This is where I think AEW, when they want to do these good long video packages, they can, but they just don't do it very often. I think for something like All In, when you're talking about this big of a show, I would maybe like to see like a big video package for something like this. I also understand the argument of like, let's just do the action, get to the matches. We don't want to undercut any of that. Keyshawn says the lack of build didn't help. And that's certainly true, is like the lack of build didn't help. But see, okay, so I'm fine with match videos if you're not going to do a big one there. Should have been a big video package to open the show of like All In 5 years ago, everything it meant, everything it encompassed, All In today, kind of just all the quick and dirty history of AEW, of how we got from here to here. Should have been a big video package for that. Like, that's, you got all that footage, you got all that history. You could have put something really good together to just tell the story there. And they didn't do any of that. And Louis, I get that makes sense. The constant video package and WWE ruined the live experience. Hey, I get it. But you know, when you knock it out of the park on some of these video packages that they do for WrestleMania and stuff, I'm willing to sit through those, because that gets me more amped for that. And I understand if not everybody's the same, but I do think they should have had like a cool video package. A cool video package to open the show. And then the other thing I'll talk about on the media side is I tweeted this, so I won't get too much into it. You know, it was their biggest show. They did do media from outlets that typically don't cover on the media when it comes to AEW. Tony Khan did an interview with like the Hollywood Reporter. There's a lot of Muscle and Fitness. I think they had Muscle and Fitness there at the press conference as well. So there was a lot of outlets that you typically don't see covering wrestling. Shout out to MJF, Adam Cole, Sheeta. Sheeta did a ton of media in the weeks leading up to All In. Shout out to all of them for doing a lot of media in US. I know Saraya did a lot of UK media. I expected more out of Jericho. Jericho only did like a couple of interviews. I thought he would do a little bit more just because he's Jericho, one of the faces, has done a lot of this stuff. I kind of expected more from Sting, just because Tony likes to get Sting out there a little bit. Darby did a few local hits, but he comes off across well in media. The Bucks did one thing with Sports Illustrated. I thought they could have done more. I would have liked more.
They just don't. That's the thing with the Bucks.
I know. And I understand that like the Bucks and Kenny don't do a lot of media, but like, again, when you're talking about this big of show and you're a big reason why the first All In happened, and now you're a big reason why this All In is happening, like, I think you just got to put yourself out there more and do this stuff. And I understand there's certain questions you don't want to answer, but clearly you don't have to talk about this stuff. Again, the Bucks did an interview with SI. They were asked about Cash Wheeler. It's like, oh, you know, it's unfortunate. We could do what we do. Nothing about Punk was asked. I assume these people know, hey, don't ask about that. If it's a written interview, you can cut all of that out anyway. You just got to do this media. It's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. You know, Cody says that all the time. Drew McIntyre wants to do this media. Like, sometimes you just gotta, for these big matches, these big shows, you got to go out there and do it. Moxley was another one. And Moxley's not doesn't do like doing a ton of media, but another guy who probably just could have done more given his position in the company and the magnitude of this show. I would have liked to see more from them, but we got what we got. Maybe in future, they will continue to do more media on this stuff, because it was lighter than what you would see from a typical big WWE show. WWE, they fucking hit everywhere when it comes to media. And, you know, we had the super chat earlier of Bianca. Bianca's on like the Today Show with Montez. Like, she's everywhere on this stuff. If they can put Bianca to do an interview, Bianca's doing an interview. Yeah, I actively search this stuff. SummerSlam week, I listened to about 5 different Bianca Belair interviews, just local, like, kind of stuff. That wasn't even counting all the major interviews she did. Her, Drew, Cody, they're everywhere when it comes to the media. So lessons for AEW. Otherwise, like, let's celebrate this show. Monumental show for the company, monumental show for wrestling. We have a viable second company that can run these gigantic stadium shows. I think it was a cause for celebration, and it was a very good show, like a really, really good show, a memorable show for a lot of reasons. And now, sadly, World of Wrestling is what it did for me lately, and now we're another show this weekend.
You went robotic for a second. Or are you back?
Yeah. Okay.
I want to add one thing to the media topic that you were talking about, and that is Darby Allin, because for the longest time, Darby wasn't a talker. Darby didn't really want to be a talker, but over the last little while, he's become a talker, and a very good one at that. When I was at the Toronto press conference for the post Forbidden Door press conference, they ran the silly Jericho setup to do the tag match, but up until that point, it was Darby and Sting sitting at the press conference. Everyone was asking Sting questions. I get it. It's fine. And then Darby at one point just kind of cut the tension. It was just like, oh, no one wants to talk to me. All right, fuck me then. And he just kind of like removed himself from the press conference. And at that point, I was like, I kind of want to ask Darby a question, because you can tell that there is just a level of comfort that's starting to shine through. And it's happening with his promos now, and people are rightfully praising him for it. I like seeing that development with wrestlers who never really had that big of an opportunity to have big media hits and things like that. And I like that Darby is putting himself out there to do it. So just kudos to him. And someone had asked, did the Bucks or Omega do the media scrums? No, they don't. I have never seen the Bucks and Kenny do a media scrum, unless it was when Kenny won the title and did a defense. I can't think of a time where they've done it. Don's done it for Kenny before, I'm almost certain. But I don't think Kenny's done.
They did. Well, Kenny won the title during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was during the pandemic too. So like media wasn't really going to them anyway. Yeah, I think the Bucks did one early in AEW. Because I do remember there's like a photo of them standing in front of. They used to have like the backdrops, no chairs. You just had to like stand there the entire time.
Can't get water, can't get a chair. What the hell, man?
Yeah, I think the Bucks did one early, but yeah, I understand media is not everybody's favorite thing. Like, sure, fine, but like it's when you're a company this big now, like it's part of the gig. It's part of the gig, and like you got to do this stuff. Keyshawn saying none of them are good on the mic. You don't have to be good on the mic for the media scrub. You just answer the question. Like you just.
And some people just like, have 3-word answers and that's it. Orange Cassidy is fine on the mic if you give him the opportunity, but like he goes into those press conferences and half kayfabes and half answers, and it's entertaining as hell in 3 words. I
you just got to answer the question. You don't have to be great on the mic to do that. Just be yourself. Like that's kind of it. I think all of those guys should just be doing a little bit more media. And if they don't want to do it, fine. Hey, look, more power to them. I don't want to talk to I wouldn't want to talk to any of us anyway. I would like the Bucks on here. Let's talk some basketball. I would, I don't care to ask about the hard hitting questions. Let me just ask you about basketball and Taylor Swift. That's all I give a shit about.
Bucks, let's get an interview together. We're not going to talk about wrestling. You'll be on In the Weeds, and we'll get in the weeds about basketball with Jeremy. And then I'll ask about
sneakers. Do you know about shoes, Joel?
No, I wore my Nikes yesterday. That's about as good as it gets. And I wear Docs in the winter and fall. So there you go. There, you could have talk about video games.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's if you're ready, we can transition away from this.
I think so. Congratulations to AEW, a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows ever. And we have another big show in AEW coming up. It's going to be just as big as All In. It's All Out on Sunday.
Are they going to have 80,000 people at the United Center?
Why are they running more pay-per-views, Joel? Do you know how upset I was? Do you know how much Tony Khan killed my vibe? Kendrick Lamar famously said, "Bitch, don't kill my vibe." And Tony Khan killed my vibe when he's like, we're going to do more pay-per-views. I got my music and my drink, and this bitch killed my vibe. And I was not a fan of it.
Listen, you could have more AEW pay-per-views, or we could have been sitting here talking about NWA 75.
No, we don't have to talk about that shit at all. Next.
Anyway, so SmackDown. I think the show was exactly as it should have been. I think they did a good job of straddling the line between having great not just video packages, but tributes to Windham Rotunda and to Terry Funk. I think that Cody coming out to eulogize Terry was really, really smart and really good. I think LA Knight absolutely just hit it out of the park. And I said it on Twitter. He found a way to straddle that line between his character and eulogizing the guy that he was in a feud with. Just go back and watch it. Everything he said it just worked for that. He blurred it perfectly. And if you don't understand how good LA Knight can be, conversation promo like
Jensen.
that. Steven Jensen, that's right. That's the place where you should start to really understand. The matches were what they were. The street fight, I know it got a lot of flack. I think a lot of people need to remember they were in Kentucky. They were in Louisville. You have something to add?
I blame the fans for that street fight.
Because they wanted tables?
Because they chanted for tables and they got what they chanted for. You wanted more shit? You wanted forks? You wanted fire? You wanted branding irons? Chant for it. All right? You chanted for tables. You got tables. It's the fans' fault.
You see, the Kentucky Athletic Commission, being who they are, they're not very big on branding irons, which is ironic because it's Kentucky. But, and all family members, when you're born in Kentucky, they just go on the backside of your child. That's how they brand that. Ask Sean. He's got a birthmark somewhere on that. I'm sure of it. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just going by historical records.
How do you know, Joel?
I don't. Historical records, Jeremy Lambert. Anyway, that's why the street fight was literally a table spot and no blood. It was the best of the worst circumstance. I love that they built to the table spot. That worked. But yeah, the match was what it was. I just saw a lot of people complaining, myself included. And I said this was the most WCW 1994 hardcore match you can ever find. And I got the right people to pop for that, including Jeremy. So we're good. And then they built a few things for Payback. So we now know that Cody Rhodes is going to be on the Grayson Waller Effect. They will do a Talkie Talk show. And what else are they doing? They're doing. They announced another match that I was like,
Rain Theory.
Rain Theory. There was another
LA Knight and Miz.
As expected.
Yeah,
it's going to be a B show. You've already paid your $5. Have fun.
Hey, you're getting Seth and Shinsuke. That's a really good match.
Yes.
Becky and Trish has overstayed its welcome a little bit, but the blow off is at Payback in a cage match. So there you go.
And it might just be the main event.
Yeah, very well could be the main event. I thought when it came to SmackDown, look, anybody like criticizing a tribute show is an idiot. Would knock that off right now. They had roughly 24 hours to do what they could with this. The video package was sadly amazing. I hope people understand what I mean when I say that. Like, it was very sad, but it was very well put together, very well produced. The music, everything hit. Like, that was just great job by them and putting that together. The opening with Eric Rowan was there. It fucking sucks that this guy's had to do this, so often over the past couple of years, showing up at AEW for Brody and now WWE for Bray. That's awful. But everybody at the top of the ramp and the 10 bell salute for both Terry and Bray, everything was really well done. And I said it Friday before the show of like, we're not going to fantasy book a tribute show because that's stupid. We're not going to be mad at however they do this tribute show because circumstances are circumstances. And Seth came out and he said, like, I wanted to be there, but I also want to spend time with my family. And Bray always told me, like, when you get those moments to spend time with your family, spend time with your family. And so he had the day off and he wanted to be there with his family, knowing he was going to work Saturday. And he had the tribute to Bray Saturday, and he spoke a little bit after the house show, and the Fireflies came out and stuff. It's just very emotional tribute at the live event on Saturday, which I'm sure you can find online. Alexa said she wanted to be there, couldn't get a flight and everything. Like, it was going to be tough for certain people to get there. And you can't knock anybody for that. You can't knock them for how they're going to grieve, how they choose to spend their time. You certainly can't knock if they can't get a flight or anything. You'll have the second half of the roster, or another half of the roster, tonight on Raw. I imagine they will continue to pay tribute because there will be again, people who are not there on Friday who will want to pay their own respects here tonight on Raw. And then, we'll see who's there. If they're not there, okay, however they are processing is completely their choice. But I expect more tributes and stuff for Raw. And yeah, it was a very, sadly, again, hopefully people get what I mean. Sadly, a very good episode of SmackDown, and I think they handled it as well as you can in the circumstances. Cody's promo was really fun. The hardcore Terry Funk hardcore invitational. Circumstances dictate they were in Kentucky. What are you going to do? Had they been anywhere else to do this, maybe it would have been paying more tribute to Terry Funk. But it was just, it sucked for a lot of reasons, but that they couldn't do a little bit more. Again, I blame the audience. And then, yeah, LA Knight's promo was fantastic. And the closing with the lantern and everything was really well done. And the big image of him on the screen, that was really well done. It was a well-produced show. And, kudos to WWE for having to put that together and putting together the show they did in roughly like 24 hours notice.
Can we say egg sucking dog on Fox, Michael?
Cody's the fucking best, dude. Never let anyone tell you that Cody Rhodes is not like one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I mean this sincerely. Of all time, Cody Rhodes is one of the greatest professional wrestlers. Fight me on that if you would like. Steven Jensen agrees with me, but just every aspect of pro wrestling, the man gets it. The man gets it, and the man understands it better. And I mean literally every single aspect. Because you can knock some of these greats when it comes to certain things. There ain't no knocks on Cody. Merchandise, media, promos, the stuff he has to do in the ring, how he carries himself, how he presents himself. Cody gets it all. Bless him.
Since we're going to probably finish up with the Emergence talk, the Impact talk, I just want to hit on Raw actually has a few things announced. So since we're talking about WWE, may as well get to that. Becky Lynch and Zoe Stark in a Falls Count Anywhere match. That should be fun. I feel like we just did that last 2 weeks ago with somebody else, but whatever. We'll see. Chad Gable and Ludwig Kaiser. Oh, that's the other one. Gable and Gunther is probably going to be a payback match. They'll probably announce that tonight. That'll be fun, actually. Tommaso Ciampa versus Big Bronson Reed. By the way, congratulations to Bronson Reed. Looking forward to hearing about the story he and his wife are expecting. They've been on a very long and arduous IVF journey. It sounds like something good has happened. So looking forward to good news there. And New Day take on the Viking Raiders. And that should be just a fun match where two guys beat up two big dudes. Do you think Drew and Matt Riddle get involved?
I think that the New Day probably just win. There's stuff announced. I'm gonna be honest, this ain't like the show that I'm most looking forward to. It's just there's stuff, there's matches. Waiting for Gargano to come back with Ciampa. That's all I'm looking forward to on that side of things.
Who will Zoe team up with to face the Judgment Day this week? Why is it Sammy and Dano?
That's really it. Like, we don't know what Judgment Day is doing on this show. They're the draws when it comes to Raw. Everything. Yeah, Cody will be there. Cody will be great as he always is. I assume Cody's just gonna face Priest, just a singles match. I feel like they just did that, but do it again. Run it back, baby.
There you go. So that's the Raw tonight. That'll be a show. I'll probably watch the first 2 hours and then catch up on the third after Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not watching Raw live because I will be at the Impact TV tapings tonight. Joel, set a calendar reminder. Anyway, I went to Impact Emergence last night. I need to tell this story real quick. I normally go with Tim, and people might remember from Tim and Joel Call It in the Ring. Tim has since really just become my producer, my camera guy, my editor, my amazing technical guy. He was unavailable. His sister was getting married. Congratulations to her. And so he couldn't come. So I had tickets. My brother's in town. I talked about this on the last show. My brother's in town along with his fiance. They're engaged. And my parents were also in town. I was offered a bunch of tickets by Impact, and I brought my brother, my fiance, my mom and my dad for to the Impact show. This was my mom's first ever wrestling show. My dad, I think this may have been his first as well. My brother's been to wrestling shows with me. His fiance has not been a wrestling fan in many, many years. Used to watch in her home country, but she was interested and she had a lot of fun. My mom was, everyone had fun. My mom was like, that was way too long. And I was like, I get it. It's a long night at a nightclub. I didn't expect my night to be spent explaining to my family wrestling while simultaneously sitting with wrestlers. Because we were in the back corner in the VIP section that we found those seats and like nobody told us to move, but it happened to be right by the door where talent can just come like freely. It was by the stage. So back corner by the stage, talent can come freely, hang out. So at one point, Sway Archer, which a lot of people might know, is a great wrestler, but also makes a lot of gear that you see on various TV wrestling platforms, including at Emergence. He did Sonata's gear. I think he said on like 5 hours notice, and he did a fantastic job because the mirror style gear looked really good on Sonata, and it was good stuff. So Sway was there hanging out. Kevin Knight comes up to me. He's like, they serve food here? And I'm like, I just laugh.
You could have warned him about that beforehand. I knew they didn't serve food there.
You got to watch the show, Kevin.
Yeah.
So I told him no, and then they ended up ordering food. They'd be Uber Eats it, whatever. And this is my favorite part. During the 8-man tag, so Steve Macklin is back in Impact. Good to see him back. He's cleared. He's
Don't
good.
lie.
I'm gonna beat him up. I promise you. I swear to God, I'm gonna do it. But anyway, so Steve Macklin comes back. When Steve Macklin came back, he came in exactly from where I was sitting. So he blew right past me. At the same moment, I was having a conversation with Tommy Dreamer, who had come out during the 8-man tag and just said, "Hey, is the seat taken?" And I'm like, "No, I got a seat next to me. It's fine." So he comes, he sits between me and Kevin Knight, and he's just like, "I like to watch in the back, but like I can't hear the crowd." I'm like, I get it. And so he's like, we're chit-chatting, watching the match, and he's enjoying it. His best pal Bully's in the match, so clearly he wants to watch that. And everyone else in the match is a really good worker. And then PCO comes out, and PCO returns from wanting to beat up Bully, and they put him through a table from the top of the ramp. And it's a wild spot, and they get him high up in the air, do Moose and Myers. And it's a great spot, the powerbomb spot. And Tommy just looks at me, and he says, "Now I'm 52. PCO is like somewhere between 55 and I think he said like 60 or something like that. Like PCO is older than me. He's what he's saying. And he's like, bless him for still wanting to do all these spots, yada yada.
Sold it.
Yes. and I said to Tommy, I said, first of all, find yourself somebody who loves to hate his body as much as PCO. And then he laughs and he's just like, we're just chatting. I just said, out of curiosity, because I know you do some of the like producing and agent stuff. Have you ever told PCO like maybe that's a little too far? And he's like, absolutely not. Because if I was younger and still doing this, I'd be going up to that second floor balcony and saying, "Oh, I could jump off of that." he's like, I don't. Stupid doesn't tell stupid what to do, or something like that. So just had a really fun conversation with Tommy. Shout out to him. He doesn't know who I am. We didn't like exchange pleasantries. I didn't say like, "Hey, I'm Joel from Fightful." We were just chatting, and then Macklin comes like blowing by us, and he does his spot with Josh Alexander, and I was like, "Oh, it's good to see him back." Yes, Jeremy.
Do you think Steve Macklin sent Tommy Dreamer to distract you, knowing he was about to run right by you? He saw you and he told Tommy, "Hey, you got to go talk to this guy, get his attention before I go do my big," because that guy right there, he might try to trip me or do something. So I can't have that. He didn't use those words. He doesn't want to set off any alarms because Tommy might have walked over to you and been a little bit more hostile. He was very friendly. Like, "Hey, you see that guy over there? Good Canadian kid. Just go talk to him. Go talk to him and Kevin for a little while. Like, it'll be good." And that was the plan. Do you think that's what happened?
I don't think Tommy Dreamer has a not nice bone in his body, is what I think. I don't think Tommy Dreamer has it in himself to be angry, unless you're a piece of shit to him. But like, if you're just a regular human being, I don't think Tommy has it in him to be a bad guy. So no, I don't think that's the case. I think
No, this is not. Macklin is the one who sent him. Macklin sent Dreamer to distract you so you could not go after Macklin.
I think it's more likely that Macklin said to Dreamer, "Hey, you see that guy over there? He looks like a really nice guy. You should go and talk with him. Go hang out with him. He's cool, you know." And Dreamer was probably like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Go watch the match. You like watching the match out in front of the people." And Dreamer was like, "I do like that. I do. Thanks, Steve." And then they shook hands and Dreamer came out. And then everything just kind of played out as it did.
Yeah. And Macklin did that because he knew who was about to run right by you.
Yes.
And you were going to attack Joel. And instead you were distracted because Macklin put that out there. Macklin was the one who got you occupied so you could not attack. So let the record show, everyone, please let the record show right now on the August 28th edition of In the Weeds. Joel Pearl says that Steve Macklin is a coward and that he needed Tommy Dreamer to occupy him so he did not get attacked in his big return. This is what Joel Pearl is saying. All right, everybody?
And tonight at the Impact TV tapings, if Bully Ray comes over and sits down next to me, I know to have my guard up because either Bully's going to beat me up or Macklin's about to do the same thing again. But I'm going to block the doorway. I'm going to be like, not this time, Steve Macklin. And then Macklin's probably just going to be the shit. I mean, so it's fine. It's okay.
I'm very sad. We got to get you. We got to get you fighting Steve Macklin.
I'll tell you a story off the air. It's fine. Okay. The rest of the show, I do have to say, the show was just a lot of fun. The opening, if you're going to watch a couple of matches from this, go watch the opening match with Eric Young and Diener. Those two know each other in and out, and it was such a good, no disqualification match. It had a finish. It was a hot open, good stuff. And then the women's tag title match was fine. Explaining to my family MK Ultra, it was a bit of a very strange journey.
What did you tell them?
They are two women who used to hate each other, but now they make men feel a certain ways in which you would not exclaim in a normal sentence. But now that this is pro wrestling and social media, they feel a certain way. And then they said, "Oh, what does that mean?" I said, "Have you ever asked someone to choke you?" And then they looked at me and I said, "That's what they say."
That's a good explanation. I think you handled that well.
Yeah,
Joel.
I did. Yeah. Go watch the tag title match, new tag champions, the Rascals. No shock to anybody. I don't think Impact's going to keep flying Subculture back and forth every month for shows, but I thought maybe they'd keep them on the tag titles until the UK tour, but I guess not. Rascals win. They're a great team. Go check that. Yeah, SP3 saying that Rascals and Subculture stole the show. They did. My dad was like in awe. He couldn't believe like any of the stuff he saw. He really enjoyed that match, which says a lot coming from my folks who are like not big wrestling fans. And then Sonata and Jake Something. That was a really great match. Go see that. Knockouts World Championship match, main evented. Deonna Purrazzo versus Trinity. Solid match, a lot of fun. I'm not going to say it was the best match ever, but I can say that for what they were trying to do, it got the point across. Deanna's dejected. She's like, what the hell do I do now? I've been beaten twice. So it's good stuff there. Trinity is looking good in Impact, and I think people should be excited about that. But because we do sometimes talk about the shitty things, why are they putting a cinematic match on TV when they have a live audience? I talked about this on here when it was first announced, and I talked about it on the Impact show. When they said they were going to challenge each other to a match at the Killer Kowalski school, I was like, great, that's a wonderful blow off. I hope they show it. It'll be a main event on an Impact TV show, because the audience is there to watch the live matches. Don't do it at a pay-per-view. Don't do it when you have a live crowd. That's a waste of time. And then they announced it for Emergence, and I immediately was like, this is fucking stupid. And you know what I got? I got a lot of messages from people in the crowd being like, why are they doing this? This is fucking stupid. And I just, this is it. It was a 4-minute match, but it was like a 15-minute segment. It was
it felt like it was half an hour. The music was very like sad and somber. And oh man.
The funniest thing was the post-match when they just like we're done, and then they're playing the somber music, and all of a sudden it cuts because Lish hits gas. That just cackled me, and otherwise it was not good. The rest of the show was really fun. Just cut that shit out. Do it again. Should have been on an episode of Impact when you pre-tape all your stuff that's off-site. We as fans don't see it until it airs on the show. You could have done that. Instead, you made a captive audience watch this thing. By the way, they weren't running all 3 screens at Rebel either. They were just running the middle one for whatever reason, and as a result, like, you couldn't see everything. So that kind of lessened the mood for me.
The music just lessened the mood. Like, we got a hot audience. Let's bring them down with some somber. I don't know what the song was, but yeah, that was the one thing I didn't like about the show either. Is I was sitting here watching it and working and everything, and I just hear this song, and I look up and I see what's going on, and yeah, it felt like it was way too long. Otherwise, a very fun show from Impact after just a very long day of professional wrestling, but it did not bring me down in the way that, you know, another show potentially could have brought me down if I actually paid attention and watched that. It was a good show. I like Sonata and Jake something. It was cool to see Sonata back in Impact and paying tribute to the great Sonata, former Impact gimmick that he had going on there. Jake something's very good. Yes, you asked on Twitter, did they explain no IWGP World Heavyweight title? I told you he cashed in. He's coming after the Fightful champion. And so now I'm trying to just get everybody on the roster to kick your ass. No, they said Evil stole it. So what's that?
I said, I'll be there, I guess.
Yeah. They said Evil stole it, so they're facing a New Japan Destruction. I think it's Ryogoku. It might be Kobe. It's one of the two. So yeah, it was good to see him though. Subculture and Rascals was really fun. All the matches were like fun and good and had a purpose and stuff. Very disappointing. Johnny Swinger did not win the digital media title. Thought that should have happened.
It was so, that near fall with Heath doing the run-in was so good. And after the match, my brother turned to me. He's like, "I'm sorry," because he knew that was like the match that I wanted Swinger to win. But I have to say that the beatdown stuff afterwards was stupid. I sat there being like, "What?" Heath just kind of showed up and then left immediately. No one's gonna tip him off. He's not gonna save anybody. But other than that, yeah, the match was much better than it had any reason to be.
All right, we're bearing the lead here when it comes to Impact Emergence, though. Joel Pearl.
Yeah. Joya?
Can I get a Joya?
No, buddy. Let's talk about Joya. First of all, shout out to Yoya frantically searching for his Uber after the show. It's just like with his phone looking around like, I don't know if he's looking for food or his Uber Eats. But either way, dude, those two. I was talking with Cresta for so long about how Yuya Uemura is so talented and so good at wrestling, but he just doesn't have the character yet. And wrestling is about the characters. And that's what your excursion, your Young Lion excursion is all about. And he struck gold being placed with Joe Hendry. And this could give him so much more depth to a character. And it's going to be silly. It's going to be stupid. But like that's kind of perfect for Yuya Uemura. And I think this is so good for him. And if it leads to a feud between Hendry and Uemura, even better. But that was fun as hell. People loved it.
Joya!
We were so confused for a second.
Joya!
I kept thinking, I was like, what? Don't I know of some product that's called Joya? I think that's the best part.
This was awesome. Absolutely awesome. They put this on the pre-show. They should have been charging people for this one.
No, they will from now on. Rascals versus Joya is going to headline the Victory Road event at this rate.
That's selling 90,000 at Wembley right there. You kidding me?
And they're gonna sing it live to the ring because that's what Joe Hendry does. He creates his own music. So much fun. Yeah, Joe. And we came in just at the tail end of Speedball and Allen Angels. I've talked about the venue before. Rebel Nightclub is a beautiful facility. It is the biggest pain in the ass imaginable to get to. driving there. So right now in Toronto, on a busy summer weekend, you have the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition, the X, and then you've got literally everything else happening downtown. Jays were playing earlier in the afternoon. Argos were off, but like there's still stuff going on is my point. So traffic was just awful getting through to get to Rebel. And then just the area where Rebel is not good for anything. Not good for parking, not good for driving, not good for walking. And people might not know this, but there is a pool bar called Cabana Pool Bar, and they were just closing at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when people were getting into the building for wrestling. So here are a bunch of scantily clad men and women coming off of spending their day getting drunk in the sun at the Cabana Pool Bar, and then you have a bunch of wrestling fans coming in to go into the dark, dank Rebel nightclub. It was a weird juxtaposition of characters. But I'll be there again tonight. I'm sure I'll run into a bunch of people, and yeah, it'll be fun. I like TV tapings because they're more chill when it comes to Impact. There are fewer people there, which is that's just the way it is. But it's just a different vibe. I'm looking forward to that.
I have breaking news, Joel Pearl.
Oh no!
John Cena returns to Friday Night SmackDown for 7 consecutive weeks.
Wow.
John Cena is going to be on SmackDown September 1st through October 27th. Roman's off, Cena's on, baby.
Good for Roman Reigns. Get yourself a deal.
It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious that Brian Gewirtz is like, yeah, probably ain't going to see Rock during the writer's strike because that ain't looking great. And, you know, he doesn't want to do that and appear on WWE television while everyone else is kind of out of work and you know, picketing and stuff. And Cena's like, I got shit to do. I'm just going to show up at SmackDown every week, baby. John Cena's a man of the people. That's a man who gives back to the WWE. Unlike Dwayne, who doesn't care and try to use the strike as an excuse for why he won't show up. No, Cena as a man of the people is like, you can't see me in these movies, but you can see me Friday night on SmackDown, Fox. The GOAT, John Cena.
Should I meet Lance Storm at the pre-show meet and greet tonight?
We're talking about John Cena. Who cares about Lance Storm?
Oh, okay. Hold on. My dad's going to be at the post-show. Scott D'Amore's doing the post-show meet and greet. Should I try and get him to get on In the Weeds with us?
You gotta get an interview.
I do. I gotta talk to the people that give us the interviews and see how that goes.
Wow, good luck.
I didn't see him last. I did see him last. I didn't get to talk to him. We'll do it tonight. Anyway, do we have anything else to add? John Cena's coming back for 7 weeks.
For 7 straight weeks. He's on SmackDown this week. He's off next week because they're doing Superstar Spectacle thing.
Yes.
But then beginning September 15th, which is also my birthday, Joel Pearl, and I expect a big birthday gift from you here on this show because we are doing a show on my birthday. So
your birthday
get ready. You only got a couple weeks left here. Beginning September 15th, John Cena, 7 straight weeks.
Wow. That's going to be a lot.
It's going to be great. We're getting the GOAT, John Cena.
What if I got Tony Khan for your birthday?
If you can get Tony Khan to show up on this show, that'd be something amazing.
What if I got Tony Khan to show up after I send him a supercut of all the times you've impersonated Tony Khan on this show?
1, good luck with that.
Thank you.
2, if he still showed up after that, then great. He still the wife told me, of like, we gotta send Tony because they're doing this pay-per-view October 1st, right? It's in Seattle too. So they're on West Coast time. Tony doesn't give a shit about anybody's time when they're on East Coast time. Now, if they're on West Coast time, the show wraps at like 9 o'clock. He's like, it's only 9 o'clock. Shit, we'll keep you here until midnight. They're on West Coast time. October 1st. My anniversary is October 2nd. Tony, I'm going to be up till like 4 a.m. on October 2nd, basically, covering Tony Khan quotes. And I'll be sleeping all day for my anniversary. What is Tony doing? I got to send Tony. You know, Joel, you know what yesterday was for the family here. And like how I actually had like personal stuff to do and unfortunately had to miss because there was 18 hours of wrestling yesterday. bless the wife, timed everything to where it's like, hey, you know that hour gap between the end of the show and the media scrum as they wait for everybody to get back there? That's when we're going to do the family stuff that I kind of need to be present for. But I still had to miss other stuff throughout the day because I'm covering the show. Again, bless the wife for just many reasons. They got to stop scheduling these shows when I have stuff going on. I got to send Tony a list. Like, I got birthdays on this day. I got the anniversaries this day. You can't schedule stuff on these days, Tony. Figure it out. Work your schedule around my life, Tony. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
We'll get him on the show and we'll let you talk to him directly.
I'll ask. I'll tell him this. I'm like, Tony, look.
What's great about Tony is that he will show up on this show before he sends you a damn t-shirt.
Oh, I'll ask him for a shirt on this show. Like, Tony, where's my shirt?
Just ask Tony to send you the script.
People, I put out, after the Perry Punk incident, and Tony, he did a good job getting out in front of that, by the way. It was like, there was an incident, we're going to investigate, can't comment any further. It's like, okay, good. Like, he's out in front of it. That'll take away any question, any responsibility to take a question. He was going to give a no comment anyway. But I did the whole bit on Twitter. This is the one good thing about paying for Twitter, outside of the fact that I need it to use TweetDeck. But the one good thing is, like, you can use the long tweets type of thing. And so I just did a whole Tony and Khan impression in one of my tweets.
Stop it.
I can't comment on Jack Perry and CM Punk, but I thought both men looked great tonight. Jack Perry, he had a very physical match with Hook. They did a Rolling Thunder on my tweet was a lot better. I'm tired now, but did a whole big Tony Khan impression on Twitter. That's where you can find all my Tony Khan impressions, Twitter and this show.
There we go. We should probably get out of here. We have run way too long. Do you have anything else to add?
We're only 8 minutes over. We've gone half an hour over that one time when you were upset when Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis signed.
Yes, and we've done another 30 minutes over when Darius Carter. When Darius Carter was on with me and SP3.
I wasn't on that show.
I know you weren't. It was SP3 and I. We did 40 minutes with Darius because he was very, very generous with his time. Great interview, by the way. Go check that out in the archives. Look at me sounding like Conrad. Go check it out in our archives over on FightfulOverbook.com. I had to remember that we actually own that domain. Leave a thumbs up. Let's get on out of here. The only other thing I gotta add is congratulations to Kenzie Page. She deserves that NWA Women's World Championship. I'm very.
I want her on the show, please. If you know Kenzie Page, actually, I might have to go another way, but I like Kenzie Page. I'm very happy she won the title, and that's all we're talking about on that show.
That's all I wanted to talk about because that was good news. So, Jeremy, plug it. Let's go home.
Okay, I actually kind of have stuff to plug, amazingly. Andrew Thompson scheduled to join us on Wednesday. He was in London for All In, so we'll get a live experience from him. That was a big reason why we didn't have a guest today, everybody, in the sake of transparency for this. I like having guests on every show when possible. Today, we did kind of make executive decisions of like, look, there was a lot of wrestling. There's a lot to talk about, especially when it just All In, but then you factor in everything else. There was just going to be a lot to talk about. We wanted to make sure we got all of our stuff out there. And most of the people we're going to talk to, they've got their own podcast, so you can listen to them on that. But Andrew Thompson will be on the show on Wednesday. And next Monday could be our worst show of all time, and it'll be on the main channel. So everybody get ready for that, because we'll be coming off of 2 weeks of this wrestling stuff. That is an Eastern time zone show with AEW, where I will be up until 4:00. And then I have to get up 2 hours later to help the kids with school and everything. And so I'll be running on basically no sleep, and we're going to be on the main channel because we've sold out for the first Monday of the month. And that should be a very fun show.
Plus we'll have Payback to talk about.
Oh, fuck that show. Oh my God. Yeah. That show's this weekend too.
Still thinking of going?
I am. I got to talk with my guy who's just Sean to see.
I was gonna say, is it Cody? Are you talking to Cody about it?
Can I send a message to Cody right now and be like, hey, Codester, American Roller Codester?
Send him the article about Pharaoh and the plushie and just be like, hey, gave you a lot of coverage this week.
Right. Okay, we buried the lead on that Cody interview. He wants to bring back the hotline. Wants to bring back 1-900-909-9900.
Parents,
The
have
best
your
part.
have your parents' permission or grab their credit card off of their nightstand. But please call the hotline.
The best part of his little gimmick there, where he wanted to bring it back, where he was like, I give like 5 things. So I give 5 things. No, I'll give 3 things, and one of them's true. You're basically playing 2 Cody lies and a truth on the hotline. I love it. That's what we need. That's the hotline we need. 2 Cody lies and a truth. The greatest professional wrestler of all time, Cody Rhodes. I'm on record.
Fair enough. I'm enjoying these interviews with Cody, because if there's one thing he's gonna do, it's exactly that. And if there's one thing we're gonna do, is come back on Wednesday, like Jeremy said. Andrew Thompson's gonna join us. We're back Wednesday, we're back Friday, and then next Monday we'll hammer it over your heads. Until then, we're going to be on the main channel on next Monday talking about talking about all that, talking about
our worst show ever,
talking about everything. It's going to be the worst show ever, but we are going to be there because we love this. I don't know. Don't follow Jeremy. Go follow Fight Talk _, and come and join us every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the weeds, and check out all the other content here on Fightful Overbook, because there's plenty of it. Until then, I am at Joel Pearl, JOELPEARL. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.